today we're going to be talking about listing appointment and the listing presentation. So the listing presentation is actually in one zone, and I'm going to log in because it takes a little bit to load up. No, that's not where I wanted to go. No, that's not where I want to go. It's actually in, once you go into the zone, it is in the Creative Studio right here. And there, the steps to get to it are in this packet here. But you'll scroll all the way to the bottom and click on prospects, and then presentations, and then it'll bring up here. But I think I just saw, wait a minute, I just saw something when I came in here. Because I made one and it kind of froze up so it wouldn't let me print it. So let me go back and see if it was there. There we go. To my dashboard. Oh, right here. Oh, maybe not. Oh, edit. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit of time to load. But from there, let me get this up. Okay, so questions to ask when first setting the appointment. So you're gonna get a call from somebody that says, I'd like to, sell my home. A lot of times it's a referral. Somebody that you've met at a store or something says, oh, I want to sell my home, and you're gonna contact them. But like, what do you ask them? If you don't know and they just call you off guard, you want to ask them, how did you hear about me, and what did they say about me? Like what? Oh, what did they say that made you call? You want to know what triggers people to call you, to pick you to come and make an appointment. Now, I always ask them when I'm on the phone, how long have you lived in your property? Yes, I can pull it from tax records, but a lot of times they'll catch you off guard, and so you don't have all that information in front of you. And maybe they bought it, doesn't mean that they've lived in it. They could say, I've owned it for 10 years, but really I've only lived in it the last 3, or I lived in it the first 3, but I haven't lived in it since. That's pertinent information if they've been renting it out, or if they even know anything about the property. I always ask them, like, why are you selling? What's the reason? Is there something wrong with the house? Do you have a job transfer? Is there a divorce going on? All of those things matter when you go to list your home and price your home. How fast they need, so that's one of the next ones is, what's your time frame? They may be calling you to list a home in 6 months, but they want to try to just get their ducks in a row right now, things that they have to do beforehand. Now, if you're moving out of state, if they are, I always ask them, do you have a realtor where you're going? Because if they don't, and they're moving out of state, try to pick that up as a referral. Oh, you know what, I've got some great partners in that area. Let me reach out to them and I'll get you a referral. Try to get that on that other end. Just another source of income as your referrals. Do you have any idea of what you think your property's worth? I always ask that question because it gets a head start, because they say, I have no idea, I haven't researched your property. Do you have any idea of what they're going for in your neighborhood? Even if the last sale is $500, they're going to tell you $550, $600. They're going to tell you more than what it is, thinking you're not going to know. But you're going to have all those facts there, but you want to know what they're thinking. So then we'll say, I always ask them, what upgrades have you done? Because they're going to want me to bring over an estimate of what I think that their house should sell for, but I won't know that. All I can do is pull up the last sales and what's going on now, but I have nothing to compare to. And I hate being put on the spot by getting there and going, oh, I didn't know you had this. Okay, well, that changes everything, Somebody had asked me like 2 weeks ago, they're like, can you help me? I'm trying to find a list price for this listing I'm going to take. She gave me the address, and it was all through text. She's like, can you just tell me what you would price it at? So I'm looking at it, and the area was really, really run down. And it's just an older home. I looked at the past history, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the range. And then so when I called her back, I said, what do you think? And she's like, 600. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking 500. And then she's like, oh, no, they've totally renovated it. Well, that matters. I would have, if I knew that, then I can kind of compare it to the ones on the high end. So you always want to ask them that kind of stuff before you get to the house, so you can do a little bit of background on that. And then I always ask them, because they might not consider their AC, their roof as an upgrade. They might just consider it maintenance, even though the roof could be $20,000. So the ACs are $10,000 to $15,000. they just think, okay, well, my AC broke, no big deal. But that's a huge selling feature, so you want to know if they've done those components. I also like to send a pre-listing package, which is what, oh goodness, what I have here. This same presentation, you can change everything. Like I added that up there. It comes out, you know, marketing proposal, which I think you can change that. I didn't even mess with it. But this is a pre-listing presentation. So what I do is I have this phone conversation with them, and I'll say, okay, great, you know what, let's set a date and time. I'll meet on Friday at like 3, but in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and send you over my pre-listing presentation just so you know what to expect when we meet on Friday. And it just kind of goes through, lightly touches on the things that we're gonna do on Friday, but it gets a lot of that out of the way, so I'm not there for 2 hours on Friday. They've already kind of touched upon it, and we'll go through. I think I can click on it now. Now again, this is in the One Creative Studio. I love it. It looks very pretty. It's just hard to navigate. So there is another one in Rock University that Anthony just sent me this morning. So I just briefly looked at it. I didn't play around with it. And it's made through Canva on Rock, and you can just change it. This one is great, but it's very clunky. Like I said, it froze up at the end, so I couldn't even print it. But last week, Tim was able to print one. And it looks like this. They've got all of these pictures already in there, and they just flip chart. It kind of tells you information about Realty One and, you know, how many offices. Well, it doesn't tell you how many offices, but it tells you everything, like our 6 C's for the culture. Gives you a spot to put information about yourself. So he was able to print it out last week, but today it froze up on me in the late evening last night, and then this morning I was messing with it for like the first 3 hours, and I had it all done, and I'm like, oh no, now I can't get it to print. So I have it here to go through, but it's a slide like that, so you just email it to them. And the same with the one at Rock University is you'll be able to email it to them ahead of time, and it's called a pre-listing package. And you can, you know, things that they should get in order. Their HOA phone numbers, how much they spend every month on the HOA, extra set of keys, so then that way when you arrive there, if you get the listing, they already have all that stuff. So it's just stuff to prepare them for what to expect on Friday. Let me try to see if I can click through here. Yeah, so it gives me a little, I put all that, well, that's all came, the background, well, I actually added that background, but there is a background that comes in there. I just kind of like the black on there. So you can bring the backgrounds in, backgrounds out. This, we just started popping things in because it took so long. But this was the About Me page that I have in my flip chart one, and then this was a standard one. You know, the one purpose, one home, one dream, one life at a time. That's really, you know, neat to have. You're just gonna flip through it. This is our San Diego office, but it's like our belief. Take risks, be bold, save the day, and kind of gives a little thing down there. But then it goes into our 6 C's. What Realty One has, and then the power of one. We talk about the unbrokerage, and then it goes back into this. So I like our team to take care of you. We have Rock Title, Epic Lending. I couldn't get these little circles to move, but I'm going to add something else here. But I don't go out and sell too often, so I didn't want to go into great depth making it, but I wanted to show you guys how you can change it up for yourselves. And then, but a lot of these slides are really nice. You can take, there's like 42 pages. You can take out, make it 10 pages. You can add your own stuff if you want in there. Like here, I added like an example of the flyer that I use, and then I was gonna put like the HD photography from Virtuance flyer in there. I wanted to change the format and make it not so square, but I didn't have time to mess around with that, but I just wanted to show you can pop it in there. These circles are already pre-made, and you can move all the words around. You just can't move the little circles around, so I just popped it in on top of that. So, you know, you can design it to how you want. And I think that's where I stopped, but they have some really nice pages in there, like marketing strategy. This is an awesome one, because the way I have mine in there, it's not gonna fit in there, so I like that. You could just change the words to make it your marketing strategy. But so that's the pre-listing package. So you send that ahead of time, and then when you show up on Friday or whenever, you're kind of touching base on all of that real quick. You don't have to spend much time in it because they've already read through it. But what I also like to do is when I had said, tell them things to do. Get your HOA information, your mortgage payoff, the extra set of keys. When I show up there, if they have that stuff in a stack, that means they went through this. And I was probably the only one that gave them homework, something to do that shows them what they need to do to prepare. And when they've done that, you almost won the listing. You just pretty much know because you've put wholeheartedly into it. Hey, these are the steps that it takes. Let's see. Okay, you'll then prepare for your appointment. Pull the tax record, the first thing that you want to do. You want to make sure that the person that you're meeting with is the person that's legally allowed to sell the house. Sometimes a child will be in there, or if it's in a trust, if they're not the signer on the trust. If it's a husband and wife, and maybe the husband passed, then you need to educate them on the death certificate. So you need to get all of that information first, and that's where you're going to always start with your tax record. Also, the tax record is helpful because the square footages might be off. They might have had a room addition, so when you're trying to comp something out. And that's one of the things I do ask them at the very beginning on the phone. Okay, what's your square footage? What's this? What's that? So then when I pull the tax record, if that information doesn't coincide, then I know something's a little off, so I can either ask them or we can address it when I get there on Friday. Then you're going to pull comps to compare the homes and determine a price. I got to turn this air down. Yes. I'm freezing. Thank you. I know. Anybody jump up at any time to grab that. Okay, so you're going to pull your comps, and we went over last week on how to properly do those comps. But you're just going to pull up their address, and then you're going to look in the whole subdivision. If you can't find anything in the subdivision, go a little ways out. If you still can't find anything, then you're going to go a mile radius, half a mile, and then a full mile out. But I also, I like to check Zillow. I'm not a fan of Zillow, but I know they're checking Zillow. So I'm going to check Zillow, see what Zillow says his estimate is. Then I'm going to go to Realist, R-E-A-L-I-S-T. So when you're logging into the MLS, there's the MLS little box, and right next to it is Realist. Type the address in there, and it should give you a good idea of what the house price range is. So with those, then you do your comps, and then you can kind of see where you're at with that. Then from there, I go and I make my own CMA. So the CMA we talked about last week as well. You can make it on Matrix, you can make it on Realist, you can make it on, Matrix and RPR. But there's two different spots on Matrix. I just found out one the other day from a senior agent. You have to pay for this one, but it looks super nice. I don't know how much it is, but there's another little button like down at the bottom that says, customize CMA. But the free one is at the very top, and that's the one I have been using for many, many years, and it looks professional. My suggestion is just print it in color. And then also once you print it, you're going to put it in your plastic file folder, right? And then with that, you're going to stick, I always like to get a clear one. So now you stick it in there, you open the side, stick it in there, shut it, and then clamp it back down. And then that way the house picture will be on the front, because that's the first picture that you print out. And then I like to staple my card to the inside so it shows through. Because when you staple it on the outside, at any point it can get ripped off, right? So I got my information there, and then when they open it, you got the main first page of the CMA, and at the bottom is your contact information, but your card is still stuck there. You want to put your information everywhere, so don't think it's redundant, because on the back page is going to be your information as well. But I always start with this, I always put it in there. So once you do your CMA, you'll pull off that. I always like to either drive by the home. Well, I like to drive by if they give you enough time. Sometimes they want you there tomorrow and you just can't do it. So go ahead and feel free to pull a picture off of Google or something like that. Google the house, pull that picture. They change from time to time. You're going to get there and they're like, oh, that's an old picture because we changed the color of our home. I was like, oh, sorry. That's why if you can drive by, it's nice, because they're like, oh my gosh, because there are cars in the driveway, you take a picture. Oh, did you come by? Well, yeah, I was checking out the neighborhood. I was trying. They realize, oh my gosh, they've gone above and beyond. Because the only thing I can say is print your CMA in color. There's so many agents that don't. They print it in black and white. I've won so many listings because I show up with the same CMA, but mine's in color. And they're like, oh, you don't want to print it in color. We all know color costs more money. So they don't want to see us cutting corners at the very beginning. So go ahead and print your CMA off in color. Then put it in your report there, and then drive by to take that picture, because there's 2 spots in the CMA that's going to ask for the picture of the home. So don't leave a blank where it says photo here, like that's the worst thing. Put their photo there, whether you have to drive by or you have to just pull off the internet, but just do that. And so those little things are what's going to set you apart from all those other agents, okay? Then I said put it in a nice folder like that, and then that's that for your CMA. So you're pretty much prepared. Now when I arrive at the listing appointment, okay, Try to arrive a little early and drive through the neighborhood. You might have done it the other day, but that might have been in the evening. Now drive during the day. See if there's kids out. See if there's families. See people walking their dogs. See if there's car. Like this might be a great street, but the one behind it is not so great. You know, see what's going on, because all of that matters on pricing. It's location. Just because everything in that neighborhood, you know, is selling for this price doesn't mean that on that street. I mean, you don't know who your next door neighbor is. So you want to drive around, just double check the neighborhood. Also see what the neighborhood has to offer. Pools and play areas, things like that, because that adjusts pricing. So if you don't have time to go by first, now you know when you get to that appointment and get inside and you're talking about pricing, just say, oh, I didn't realize this community had so many things to offer. It might change, you know, if there's a community pool, things like that, really do add value to the pricing. So, curb appeal as well. When you get out of your car, just check and see what the house looks like, because now that's the first time you're seeing it, just like a buyer would see it. So if you know that there's dead grass over here or needs rock filling over there, just take note. And that's something you're going to want to bring up to them when you go inside. Don't just think you have to list it the way that it is. Some people can't afford to do anything else, but your job is to try to sell it for the highest amount of money, if that's what they want. They might just want a quick sell, and they're like, I don't care. So you have to ask them those questions, but curb appeal is a big deal. So kind of take note. I take pictures. If I get out, I usually like to snap a picture during the day as I'm walking up to the door. And I always bring something. I know some of you taken my classes before, but I always like to bring like a pie or a bundt cake or something, you know, just something to be a little different, because most agents are not going to show up with anything. But I'll just say, hey, you know what, I'm Italian, I like to eat, but you know, I just thought to break bread with you guys. And you don't have to eat it, but it's just customary for me to bring something. So here you go, and then they set it off. Like, you don't want to sit down and eat with them, but that's something they're going to remember. You know the lady that brought the pie, you know that. There's just all these little things, like the lady that brought the pie is the only one that printed anything in color. You know, those are those little things that they're going to remember and that they're going to help you win those listings, okay? Then you knock on the door. Then you, as they open it, they say, hi, nice to meet you. Should I remove my shoes? Always ask them, because if they want your shoes off and you don't ask and they're uncomfortable, now you're like, she wore her shoes all through my house. I'm not going to sleep. They want to steam clean their carpets all night. Like, there's some people that are at that level. So just ask, should I remove my shoes before entering? And then give them a compliment about their home. Oh, I love the color of the wall. If you have nothing else to say, oh my God, this is great. I love the vaulted ceilings. Find something to compliment them. A lot of times you walk in and like, oh, this is so pretty. But if it's hard, just find something to say, oh my God, this is great. I remember this tile. I grew up with tile just like that. Find something, you know. So, and then as they walk in and just, you know, you're making small talk, but then you're going to ask them, okay, you know what, do you mind giving me a tour? You know, I'd like to see. Put your bag down, you know, and then just walk freely with it. You know, I like to do a clipboard with some paper. Do you mind if I take some notes as we walk around? And then just note any holes in the wall or tears in the carpet, any upgrades, anything that needs to be repaired, anything that needs to be replaced, like your appliances, certain things like that. You're going to make note. I might say, do you mind if I snap some pictures here, just so I can, you know, I get sometimes by the time I get home, I can't remember certain things. So you want to ask before you take pictures. Because there's some people that are like, my house isn't clean. This is not the way it's going to look. I'm changing that up. There's some people that do not want pictures, and they'll ask you, why are you taking pictures? So just, hey, real quick, do you mind if I just take some pictures as we walk around so I don't forget how things look? Then you make your notes and give you the tour, and I always ask them, what do you like most about your property? Because what they like most might be something that I can add as a feature, you know. Those are the hurdles, because to them it's still their home. It's not a house, it's not property, it's their home. So it's always going to be up here. They've got an emotional attachment to it. So find out what triggers them to that, you know. And then as you walk around, take notes, take pictures. After the tour, ask you to say, okay, great. Do you mind if we sit down and kind of go over some numbers? I can show you a listing presentation on how I market homes and things like that. So that's when you'll sit down and then you'll bring your bag. And I try to be as professional as possible. So as I start, when I walk in, I've always got my bag. Try to get some kind of a professional bag to put everything in. I don't bring a bag and a purse and water, and like I try to get it big enough to put everything in there, right? So then as we sit down, we start going through everything, right? Let's see. So I'll start by handing them my magazine. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this company, but here's my listing presentation. So I'll put my bag on the floor and I leave it there. I start with, oh, I'm just gonna leave this for you. It's a personalized magazine. I'm gonna take this off of here. It's got my picture in there throughout the magazine. It's got little postcards they can tear out with my information, which is great because it's like a coffee table magazine. It's got recipes, get creative with your curb appeal. It goes throughout the United States, so they're very general, write-ups, but it's good because anybody can read it. So if there's a coffee table, and now if they have friends over, they're flipping through, oh, my realtor gave me that book, they can tear out this card with all my information on it. So it's super helpful. So the company is called Reminder Media. They'll come here and talk every once in a while, but there's like a setup fee because they have to get all your picture and all that stuff in there, and then you buy them kind of in certain allotments. Now they want you to start a subscription so they can mail out to your people monthly, mail out to like all your sellers, your buyers, or whatever. Now I don't do it that way because I only bring this magazine to my listing presentations. And so with that, I sit down, immediately give them a magazine, and then I leave it. So it's just another thing with my name on it. Then I'm like, I'm just gonna leave that here for later on reading. So what I like to do is start with my the CMA report, and I normally have in there the comps that I have pulled out, the agent single line comps with a whole bunch of handwriting. I always handwrite because it shows them I've added some extra work. And then I'll say, okay, so once again, where do you think that your house fits in with pricing? I know there's a big range, just to kind of go over it, because after you've asked them the first time a couple of days ago, they might have revisited that. And then just say, okay, great. So when I'm looking at the comps, I never give them a specific price. I give them a range, and it's usually $40,000, $50,000 range, because I don't want to, because if you give them an exact price, they're going to hold you to it. A lot can change if they're not selling for a month or 2 months, or if they're selling tomorrow, that's great for right now, but again, now that I'm in the house, it might be different. So I like to do a range. Then I'll go through there and I'll say, it's probably like another 40 pages, the CMA report. I print it all out and I'll say, hey, I'm not going to go through all of this, but there's some graphs, there's some words, it's just a lot of it's the same, but it's just how you ingest and digest the information. So with that, and I just open it up to the page that talks about the pricing. I should have printed one out, but with that it'll say, low end, high end, average price range, and then right below that is where I write my price range of like, a $40,000 difference. And I'll say, now with this price range, where do you feel that you fit in? And I'll say, okay, great, in the low end, the high end, and the median, because we might think they want to sell high, but really they're like, hey, start middle to low because I don't want to sit here for months. Great, awesome. But I always ask them, okay, why do you pick that range? What are you thinking, But here there's some comps. If I know they're thinking 500 and we can only sell for 300, where did you get that? Okay, let me show you. And that's when I start going through the ones that I've printed out. This one is highly upgraded, and it only sold for this. So you kind of justify that up front. So that's when you're going to go over your comps, and then the CMA I just go put right back over here. All this stuff I'm going to leave here for you guys so you can talk about it afterwards. And then I go into my listing presentation. So if I have a digital one, that's when I would pull out my little iPad and go through it. If not, I have my paper one. Know your client. If they are millennial, they're not going to want paper. If they're a little bit older, they're not going to want digital. So just know who you're presenting to. So with that, I have a folder. This is just a folder. It's breaking, So they over the time of using it, so I change them out frequently. But there's one that I just saw some other ladies had, and it's got it's puffy black fabric kind of thing. It's got like a little cutout, and you could put like sellers or make it your own, right? This one, I just ended up slapping it back in here because I'm like, it is what it is. But, so I start with a little bit about myself, and I go into, and it's really just about you. If you haven't been in real estate very long, you've got a background. Over the years, I've always loved real estate. I've bought and sold multiple houses, I traveled around, so I've watched my parents buy them, I fell in love with it, whatever it is that you want if you don't have any real estate background. If you do have the background, put that in there. Put something about your designations. I grew up in California. I've been in Vegas for 33 years. They want to know a little bit about you and where you come from, what your past job used to be, a topic. Like they want to connect with you. They don't want you just to be their realtor. So people are reluctant to tell them what they used to do, but I don't think so. I think you should give them a little bit of that. You know, I'm a mom, I've raised 4 kids, whatever it is that you want to say. They want to feel like they know you, right? So second page, I usually just go into the designations that I have. This next page goes into my breakdown of, you could print this off the MLS, and I'm sure you've all seen it, but it's your production. If you don't have any production, don't print it just yet. But if you do, again, this is just resale. This is not new homes. So if you've sold any new homes, I write that in there, plus 7 brand new homes. And then what the total that brings that to, because it will not print that out. So I always do that, just so they know. And I just lightly touch upon it, because at the top it says 98% of the time I sell them at or above what they're listed for. So that's super great information. And then I turn. I don't dwell on that. It is what it is, but just so you know, I am active. They want to know that you sold a house in the last 2 years. You know, you're not just haphazardly doing this as real estate. Then I go into how I market the home, and I go through some of these things here, and I'll say, and then I do some print work, and whatever it is. It might take 3 weeks to turn that over. So if time permits, I'll get that in there. I'll get some postcards out. I do HD photography, which goes into this next one, and I have a printout of it. All of this stuff you can upload into the digital ones, but this is how I do it here, and I just show them the before and after pictures of the digital photography. And then I flip through, and I'm like, this is where we market. We syndicate all the listings from Realty One Group. Now, a lot of brokerages don't do that, but Realty One Group does take care of that for us. So it goes to all these different websites. The minute I hit submit, you will be plastered all over the internet. So that's reassuring to them, because they're always asking, where are you putting, how are you marketing? How's everybody get to see my property? Then I do professional flyers. Just depends on what the layout's going to be, depends on what the photos that we take of your home. Then I talk about the Homes Illustrated magazine, which we do have one there, but again, if you haven't heard me talk about it, it is $55 for a half page, $99 for a full page. Let me find a half and a full page here. Okay, yeah, so half page and then full page. It's about a 2.5 to 3 week cycle, but you might not get buyers or sell the house off of this, but I'm guaranteeing you will win the listing because you do it. So even if you have to ask, if you don't have any listings right now, ask somebody in the office, hey, can I market your listing in the Homes Illustrated? Take it. It doesn't have to be your listing. Run the ad for $55 and now put that in your listing presentation. This is what I do. This is how I market your property. And tell them it goes into every grocery store in Nevada. It goes up and down the strip. It goes into the grocery stores in Southern California. And it goes on the Wall Street Journal website. So you will get full exposure just from this magazine. And I do that for all of my listings. And then they go, oh, like who doesn't want their home to be in a magazine? They like that. So it's great. You will win the listing because of it, because there's not a lot of realtors. And when you flip through the pages, you'll see the same realtor multiple times on multiple pages, because it's like almost like a secret. But honestly, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. So it's like a lot of realtors don't even utilize it. And it's a great thing to do to add to your listing presentations. Then I tell them I have a monthly newsletter, and then I'll put a little, for all my listings every month I update that with all the listings that I have in there. So if time permits, if the turnaround time is good, I'll add yours to that. I do just listed and just sold postcards that I do mail out. And then I like to do an upgrade sheet that I leave in your home, and I tell them, even if it's not considered an upgrade, but if it's a plus, if it's an added bonus, just replace the refrigerator, just put a new roof on or a new AC, whatever, that's huge. I want the buyers to know about it, and I tell them, we are going to have multiple buyers agents that are coming through here that might not give all this great information to the buyers. So what I do is I spell it out and I leave it in a little plastic thing on your kitchen counter, because when they leave and they fall in love with your house, they're going to have their realtor make an offer, and that realtor's they're going to tell their realtor, how much can we take off of it? And that realtor will say, well, did you pick up that upgrade list? They're on the high end, so we really don't want to discount that pricing. And it will help us hold tight on our pricing by just explaining to them what it is. We only get so many characters in that MLS, so we want to make sure that they know about everything about our properties. Oh, we're just sold total. Then I do other listing flyers that I get off of like Breakthrough Broker. There's a luxury one. Even though they might not be luxury, I just like the layout a little bit better, and I'll put that somewhere else in their home. These flyers over here, I tend to put in the flyer boxes outside. If they allow me to have a sign and a sign post, I always pay the extra $5 for the flyer box. And I put that in there because I've won multiple clients, buyers and sellers, because I have actually put flyers in there. There are so many realtors that no longer do prints, but they want something tangible to take home. So print it out. It costs you free printing here at Realty One. So just get it done, color and black and white. Always print them in color. Little tip I used to do is print them with just a little discolored paper, like a gray or a light yellow, because if they are going around picking up flyers, mine will always stand out without even looking at the pictures. It will be just a tiny bit of different. You don't want to add too much color because it'll change the pictures of, the colors in your picture. But just a few little things to make yourself stand out in the sea of realtors that we have out here. So we'll go through here, go through here. And then I also give you a list of things to do, so you're not running around, crazy every time you have a showing. So I'll print this out for you, and you can leave it in your kitchen drawer. So every time we have a showing, you'll know about it if they live in the home. So you turn on all the lights, turn on all the fans, open the blinds, close the toilet seats, remove all your valuables, hide everything, and it's a list they have to do. Then they out the door and they go. Remove the cat boxes, whatever they got to do. And then out the door because they're so frantic. Did I do everything? Just go through the checklist and head out the door. And then we talk about how to properly price your home. I like this one. A lot of realtors are scared of this one, but you really shouldn't be. Just say, our job is to sell your home either the fastest or for the most, right? Maybe hopefully both. But where you're going to get the most benefit is right there in the middle at the 60% range, right there. Because you don't want to price too high, because if everything else in the neighborhood is selling for $480 and you price at $520, they might only put their search up to $500. And now that you're priced at $520, they're never going to see you, and they have no clue that you're even listed in that neighborhood. So what you want to do is say, hey, let's get the most showings and possible multiple offers. So we'll go ahead and list it right there. If you want a faster sell, hopefully, or faster offers and more offers, you're going to price it a little bit lower, so underneath what the going rate is. If you have time and you want to try to get a higher price, go ahead and we can list it a little bit higher, but just know you cut down on the amount of active buyers in that price range for that neighborhood. And then I always ask them at this point, do you guys have a home warranty on your home currently? And a lot of times they're like, I don't know. Well, you would know because you have to pay for it every year. And what the home warranty does is if anything were to break or whatever, you would call in like a claim for insurance basically, and then they'll come out and try to fix it or repair it. If you aren't paying for that, I'm more than happy to put seller's coverage on there. It doesn't cost you anything up front. But if something were to happen while it was listed, it would trigger it to start. We would get it covered, most of anything that gets covered, and then it just automatically, you just have to transfer it to the buyer because you've used it and it's good for a year. And then I go, okay, is there any other questions that you might have? Did I answer all your questions? Did I touch upon everything? Ask for the sale. Say, this would be a great partnership and I would love to list your property. Do you feel that we would make a good partnership? Ask for it, because if you don't ask for it, they're like, okay, they're waiting for now what? So it doesn't hurt to ask for it. And if they say, well, we don't know, we're interviewing, okay, what are you interviewing them for? Did I not touch upon something? Did I not answer all of your questions? I just want to make sure when I leave here that, if you're comparing other realtors, that you're going to compare all of the same things, so you want to make sure that you fully explained everything there. And then, let's see, and I think that's pretty much it, the listing presentation. So then I pull up the folder, did I leave anything out? So that's pretty much it with how I do it. Now, do you guys have any questions on preparing for it, showing it? Because my next class is going to be, okay, I've got the listing. How do I prepare the house? What do I need to ask them to do? All of that kind of stuff. So anything here is what to do at the appointment, and then once and how you give them the presentation. And I know I've gone with you, so you've seen that. I know I've gone with you, you've seen that. So do you ladies have any questions on how to properly get ready, prepared for the listing appointment, or how to properly give the presentation? The digital ones, let me see if I can get into Rock University so you can at least see theirs. And they're very professional. It just depends on what look you're going for, and you can change them up, which is great. Because I always say have both, because you just don't know what you're going to need. There have been times where I've gotten there and then all of a sudden I can't get the digital one to work, so I always pull out. So always bring both, even if you only want to do one. Training, okay, the login here. Okay, it should be done. And then what is make my right, and then oh, now you know what my password is. That's okay, I just made it today, so I couldn't remember, so I'm sure I'll change it again. You'll never get in. Oh goodness, now I need to. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here, let's see. Okay. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to really go through this one, but it looks pretty cool. You're gonna go scroll through. So the Rock University, if you guys have not joined it, go ahead and join it because this is through Rock Title, and they've just got a ton more of training classes, social media posts where you just go on and then add it to your social media. So everything is really done for you, but we have seller templates, listing packet templates. And then there's premium, and then there's a luxury presentation. But I just looked at the premium one today. And then I use template for design. Oh goodness, no, I can't, no. Sorry, let's go click here. Can I just get in? Oh goodness. So now, yeah, that's not working for me either. But at least you can at least see what it kind of like looks like. You can add things, add, you know, your signature. I love, when I put my name somewhere, I would love to do it in a signature one, in a little bit of a script. So it's not so blocky. They want to see a little bit of oomph through you. They have QR codes that you can add in there. So it's pretty much, use a template for new design. Yeah, so I can't get in there again, but again, there's so many different ways you can do it. I was trying to mess around, make one on Canva last night too, and I'm like, well, we have some, so it's hard. And like, we like to provide you guys with everything so you can just pop your stuff in there and go, rather than having to go through all the steps with Canva, because it does. I just get a little extra, and I like to change mine up a little bit so it's never the same as everybody else's. But I think because you're newer, we just need, well, you're not so newer, but you know, we just need something that's already made and just done for us so we can just go. Because what if somebody were to call you tomorrow? Are you ready? Like, and you've got to be ready. So if not, I've printed those out, and there's color and black and white. The black and white I just did because some of you have been to my classes before and you're like, okay, it's the same information. So I was trying to save on color. But if you haven't, that package of color ones, grab those. It's the same stuff that's in here. And you can just put it in your folder and then flip chart. Change the information like the about me. You know, change it. Type something up real quick for about yourself. I always say, even just sold postcards, go make some up. Yes, it's a little bit expensive, but if you have a farm area that you guys are marketing, just pick a house in there that has sold. You don't need anybody's permission once it's sold. If it's just listed, you will have to call that listing agent. But if it's just sold, just make a postcard up. It might, you know, depending on how many homes and where you're going to get it printed out, it's $100, $150. But then you send it out, but always put your name on that list, because we always forget sometimes to add our own names, and it goes out and then you never get one. So add your name to that list. You can get your list from the title company and just say, I need the names and addresses for all the homes in this subdivision. They'll send it to you, add your name on there, and then upload it. It'll go out, and then now you'll have it just sold. And it does take about a week for them to design, and then about a week for it to go out. So that's the problem with the just listed postcards, is by the time you've got it all done, a lot of times these properties in Vegas over the years have been sold. So we don't see as many just listed postcards out unless you're trying to get sellers. But this just solds come out all the time, because it doesn't matter when those actually go out. But do that so you can add it to your portfolio here for your listing presentation. Run a $55 ad there. You only need to do it once, you know, to get your listing presentation up and going. And then once you start doing it, every time you sell something, it makes, you know, you make the money back for it. But it's a little bit of an expense for something major to market yourself. And then your CMAs, I just do them as professional as possible, do them in color. These magazines are a little bit pricey, but I buy them in bulk, so that it comes out to like $2.50 a magazine or whatever. But again, I don't give them to everybody. I only give them when I have a listing appointment. Just these little things will help you stand above, because a lot of people will just staple their CMA in black and white, throw it on the counter. I was like, there I am, you know, here's me. You have to show, especially now with all this stuff coming down, where they're changing the commissions and making the buyer's agent, trying to make the buyer's agent pay for the buyer, or the buyer pay for the buyer's agent. We're all gonna have to start showing our value, because guess what? If that happens, great, but now that seller's only gonna wanna pay your commission. So if you get a buyer on the other end, they don't feel like they should have to pay you. So now you're gonna do the job of both people for one commission. So you need to show them, hey, this is what I do for a listing, but what I do for a buyer is totally different. And you have to show your value. But also when you're on a listing appointment, what's gonna set you apart from the next person they're gonna talk to? You know, a lot of times they're interviewing you because somebody, they referred them to you. Well, you're only gonna get the referrals if you stand above everybody else. So those little things can, help trigger all that, but anything that I didn't touch upon that you guys might want any information on?
You said that Canva. Do you have to pay for the?
So there's a free version, and then if you want, there's like all these little pro things, which are like, fonts and all that stuff. Then it's like $14 a month. I pay for it because I use Canva for everything. Even my little sign-in sheet, I use on Canva. I use Canva for everything.
So those
that's for Breakthrough Broker. Yeah, but like that one underneath, that's to sell. Like if you pick that paper up, pick the paper up. So this one, prepare to show. Just adding that little squirrely thing right there. I made it through Canva, and I just go in there, blank piece of paper, squirrely thing, prepare to show, boom, done. I'm done in 2 seconds.
How about your normal flyer?
I get those through Breakthrough Broker as well. List Reports has them. So every time you take a listing, every time you take a listing, if you're signed up with List Reports, it will immediately send you everything about the area, the schools, and then flyers that you can download. So that's a good one to have too. And those are all free. Breakthrough Broker gives you 10 downloads a month, and then they started charging after that. I don't even know what that's at because I try to keep it under 10. Because you can just download it, save it to your computer, and then just keep printing off. The only thing that changes is your price. But here's a little thing. I don't put my price on my flyers I put in the box anymore.
Why?
Because then they have no reason to call me. Yeah, so if there's no price, then you'll get calls and you're going to get yelled at. Why is there no price on here? Oh, well, you know what, we keep adjusting it, so if I put it, then I love to save trees, so I don't want to waste paper, so, you just make up any excuses, but I don't put my price on there. Because I'm trying to gain them as a buyer. And if they're driving around and they don't have an agent, well, I can grab them. Oh, is this what you're looking for? I can meet you over there. Have you talked to a lender? Are you pre-approved? What is it? I can start doing an automatic search. So you want to try to grab them too. So, but again, if they don't call you, you'll never know that they took them. And even the neighbors. Neighbors are a lot of times just looky-loo. So I always put 15 to 20 of them in there, and within 2 days, those are gone. Those are the neighbors in the neighborhood. And then after that, you'll go back, put some more in there, and then every once in a while, a neighbor will get it. But those neighbors might be ready to want to sell as well, and they're going to see that you put flyers in there. Nobody puts flyers anymore, and they're going to love it, and then they're going to call you. So just put your information on there. So, and then again, they might call you because the price isn't on there. What is this house selling for? Just any way for anybody to call you. That's the whole purpose. Is your job as a realtor is just to find buyers and sellers. All this other stuff is those little stuff that we have to do. But your job and what will keep you in business is finding buyers and sellers. So all those little ways to possibly do that. So anything else? Yeah.
Do you have any ideas on how to beat out like those big teams that go in and look very impressive, like somebody experienced with like their assistant walking behind them taking notes, like how when we're just working as a single, I think that's really impressive to people, and they get caught up in that and think they're getting something more because there's more people. I feel like they're getting less because it's kind of like,
well, so like on this one here, I mean, I didn't go into, is it this one or just, no, it's right. So if you look on one of my slides here, it might take a while to load, but let me go back up. Oh, it's gonna work. I did put rock title, epic lending. I have a slide that shows the United States. Like you can get this off of One Zone, and it's in the United States with all the little. I'll say we have Realty Ones all across the country and in 14 other countries. So you aren't just getting me, you're getting promotion everywhere because every agent, we have over 19,000 licensed agents throughout Realty One Group. So all of these agents have I have access to all of them. I promote to all of them, and then they can syndicate it to their markets and their social media as well. But then I tell them, do you really want a team that's not so personal? You got 5 people, 5 people working for one. I like my client, and I tell them, I only take 5 listings at a time and 5 buyers at a time, and I don't do any more than that because I can't maintain them and give you guys 100%. So when you hire me, you will get 100% because it's one-on-one attention. My phone is always on. For my buyers and sellers, I leave my phone on. They can call me anytime until 10 o'clock. After that, I just say, hey, shut my phone off. But then that way, because you are my seller, you can call me at any time. I don't shut my phone off. Any incoming calls, I let them leave a message. But it is one-on-one just for you. It's personalized for you. Whereas a team, I was working with one a couple months ago, and he was a broker. Nothing against him, but if I sent him something at 4:59, I knew I wasn't going to hear it until the next day. Like, they leave. They're just done. So I don't. I give that attention. I will drive by your house. I also tell them, which is my next class too, or 2 classes later, how to market your listings and how to follow up, which is a huge thing. So part of this as well, I tell them I put an electronic lockbox on there. Every time somebody accesses that lockbox, it will send me immediately a text and an email with that agent's name, phone number, all of this stuff, right? So every night, if somebody's been through your home, at night at 7 o'clock, I make phone calls to everybody that's been through your listing to follow up. If they, 9 times out of 10, they don't answer. But if they do, I will report back to you, hey, I talked to 3 agents. 3 agents came through, I talked to 2 of them. This one's interested, that one's not interested, da. But you will get an update every night. If there's nobody through, you won't hear from me, so I'm not bothering you. But you'll be hard-pressed to find teams that follow up like that. And if they do, it's somebody else that's not even involved. It's just the busy person over here trying to do that. They will always hear from me. If you have problems, questions, you call me. You don't call my transaction coordinator. You don't call which there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just how I've done my business. Is they've hired me. They didn't hire this person, that person, that person. So that I just kind of run that one home.
And on the mentee program, we kind of have a team. So
It's called Team Tim and Wendy,
Yeah.
and it's what we really have. And then like the Junior Mastermind group as well that we've just started. We formed last week, which is tomorrow. If,
and we have a transaction coordinator who's our compliance manager.
We
She's
do,
on our team.
Maria. It is your team. It's just how you word it, because at any point you can call Tim or myself. We will go to, as you know, Janelle, you go to the listing presentations with you. We will do that kind of stuff. If you just call me, even if you're not on the mentee program and you call me, you're like, hey, I need help pricing this home, whatever. You're like, we're still here for you. So I think people are like, if I'm on a team, I get all of this. If I'm an independent contractor, I have nobody. But no, you have everybody in the whole office. And with the Junior Mastermind group, as you guys start to bunch together, and the Junior Mastermind group is for people that are 5 years and under. It's actually for anybody, but we have the Senior Mastermind group, but then the Junior Mastermind group, we were starting out with just mentees, and I'm like, you know what, we need to expand to some senior agents that, like myself, I didn't really have the time to do the open houses. And so just because I'm seasoned doesn't mean that I do everything. So I would take listings, and I love the newer agents that came in and said, hey, can I market your property? Can I send mailers? Can I? Sure, that's free marketing for me. So I tell my sellers, it's not just me that will be marketing your property. I give access to everybody in our office, and there's 600 people just in our office, but 2,000 of them in Las Vegas. And they all have access to my listing. So they can market in print and postcards and social media, so it's not just me. So I know a team sounds great, but that team might only have 10 people. I have 2,000 of them here in Las Vegas alone. So you have to just tell them that you're not there by yourself. And say, like she says, my transaction coordinator, she reviews all documents, she lets us know if there's anything else that's needed. So you'll say, hey, my broker kicked this back, my transaction coordinator is asking for this, because they run the back end of it. You just don't see them. And they're like, oh, okay, great. They just want to know, like, oh, what am I getting? And then when I show up with you, it's like, you're getting 2 for the price of 1. But they're really just hiring you. And that's when I say, I'm the back end side. You'll probably never see me again, so just direct everything to Janelle. I'm just here doing listing, because that's my specialty. And they don't know any of it, because most of the time they're not buying and selling for years. So they don't know what to expect right now anyway. So that's what your job is, to kind of educate them on how that all works. So did I answer your question?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely. Thank you.
Anything else? No? All right, well, thank you, ladies. I know we're coming, this is the first class I've ended, like, right on time, so. But next week, again, is gonna be the following up, I've got the listing, what to do to prepare the home, you know, things like that. Because you're gonna walk through it and say, okay, this needs to be done, that needs to be done, what does need to be done, what doesn't need to be done, what the seller needs to get for you before you go on the market, what you have to do by calling the HOA and mortgage and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go over all of that. So if you need anything in the meantime, you know, I'm always here. Otherwise, I'll hopefully see you guys next week. And I'm gonna go shut this off.